Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa has conveyed his deep condolences to the families of 21 people who died in a collision between a bus and a cash and transit van in Limpopo on Monday. Meanwhile, a Limpopo Transport MEC, Florence Radzilani, says they're waiting for the final accident report on the crash that killed 21 people outside Louis Trichardt. The bus was carrying over 70 passengers when it collided with a cash in transit van. For more on the story, let's bring in SABC News reporter Mahlako Komane. Mahlako, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Do we know how many people at this point are recovering in hospital? And at some point, I know that there was still a search and rescue for other victims of this crash.
Yes, good morning to you indeed. We are at the Ilim Hospital where there is, we are in one of the wards. I know two of the rooms in here have patients that were involved in that, collision on Monday, that were involved in that car accident. In terms of the numbers so far, we're still sitting at 21. We got that update yesterday from the MEC of Transport in the province, Ms. Florence Radzilani, and she was just, updating us as to how many people on the scene that were declared dead. On the scene, it was about 19 people. Two others then lost their lives at the various hospitals. She was also telling us, the numerous hospitals where some of these patients were taken to, some of these people were taken to that were involved. I also know that later on today, we are going to go to one of the community halls that are in the area where families of the deceased will also be engaged by the Department of Transport. I did see we also have the Deputy Minister of Transport, Ms. Cindy Siwe Chikunga, and she is in one of these wards. Let me just brief you before we go into the ward. We did also hear in the other room where, there were engagements there, one of the passengers speaking to the MEC Radzilani, as well as the Deputy Minister, saying that, the bus that was involved in this particular car crash, he was accusing them of not being roadworthy, of buses not being roadworthy, also asking is that, are we as the people of Njelele meant to perish? This is obviously, bus transportation being one of the cheapest modes of transport. People are reliant on this, considering the economic times that we live in. But we all know that buses generally tend to be reliable. But he named numerous occasions where he was saying this is not the first time. While perhaps the fatalities maybe weren't this high, but he was saying that this bus service is notorious in terms of not taking care of, I suppose, their vehicles, saying that they don't feel safe in those particular buses. But I see we're going to just briefly step in here and see if we can just get in. And I think there is just that engagement, Naledi, here with the MEC as well as the minister with one of the patients. But let me just see if we can just sneak in our mic in here.
Boba bachiko uba doroboni mushumoni bachiko ya hayani.
Tandi kuva mushumoni. Kabazi love past 4.
Baba kuva mushumoni kabazi love past 4. She was from work, Mahlako town, going home. Hayani baba kwa Njelele guy.
Tandi kuzula Chituni Mawoni.
Njelele at Chitwe village Chituni Mawoni.
Okay.
Yeah, so the bus was from Mahlako town. In fact, many of the passengers were coming from work. They were going home because all of them, they are from Njelele area, in the number of villages in the surrounding of Njelele under Mahlako municipality.
But do you feel any better now that you've been at the hospital since Sunday? Any improvement?
Cheva shikapa. Chibva chevadhisiwa pa vakopfa una vukwinena kautungu baba kubupfa musi vachikadhibowa na accident.
Ndikadhibowa wana accident muviri wanga wothe wochiko baba. Mara zvino hotosara kadzikundwa akananga. Nachanda hechinene chinanga kuchiona. Echila chachopatiwa. Atikona kubvuwa dzikunde dzinane dzange dzikuvava zothe. Mara mutodo naona vokuvava zvino mutodo ukwini mara dzikunde dzitikona kubvuwa.
She's feeling better now. It's only the hand the spinal cord, and I think also the part of the waist.
But are you able to move your feet?
Ba kono uita zwanḓa so.
Yeah. I mean the
Milenzhe.
emilenzhe yakho
Mara uvuwa vha to vha vusa.
khona ndi to vusiwa.
Okay. Hayi. Ari ko livuwa.
You just heard there, that was the engagement, Naledi, with one of the patients, a lady that we had also spoken to yesterday, just, giving an update on her condition, saying that, a lot of the people that were involved in this coalition, in this car crash, in this collision, were from work. And, you can just see some of the injuries that she has suffered there. This is some of the hands. I know we did speak to this lady yesterday when the MEC was here, and she was telling us that, she remembers this bus swerving, and then they started screaming at one point when it became obvious that the driver had lost control of that particular bus, saying that they then started screaming for their lives. But you can just see, the level of pain that is there. But she was saying that she was experiencing issues and problems there on her, around her spinal cord area as well as on her wrist, but she was also, speaking about her hands and saying that she, suffered those injuries. But let me bring in the mayor of Mahlako. We're just going to step out with him, sir. If we could talk to you, it's just a little bit. It's not the biggest of rooms here, but we've managed to get him out. Perhaps let's talk to the mayor of Mahlako and speak to him. Mayor, thank you so much for speaking to us. We did hear, in the first room that we went to, the patient there, the male patient, saying that there were issues in terms of, the bus services of Maparamisa, saying that this was not the first time. Is this an issue that you're going to be taking up as government in this particular municipality?
Thank you so much, and all the viewers. Of course, what we are hearing here from the survivors of the bus accident is very much pathetic. Of course, we are hearing this for the first time, that the bus driver was overtaking a truck, and then in that process, he collided with the oncoming vehicle. And then it was reported that it was not for the first time, that the driver was not doing this very well. So we need to take it up, and our investigations are ongoing. I think drastic measures shall be taken in due course. Thank you so much.
And so have you been having any engagements with the bus company? I know it is one of the busier bus companies here in the municipality.
Not necessarily at our municipality, but the Department of Transport nationally and also the Department of Transport provincially, they are taking care of this. So we will just follow up and see how best are they addressing this issue, so that in future it must not happen again.
Thank you so much, Mayor. You heard then a lady that was the mayor of Mahlako just telling us that there is engagements in terms of, engagements between the bus service company as well as the Department of Transport. I am just keeping an eye out to see, the Deputy Minister of Transport. Perhaps we can doorstep her with that question and ask her what have the engagements been so far, especially when you hear passengers, as the mayor has also said, that, the passengers are saying that, the bus was... they felt that the bus driver in this particular incident reckless in terms of how they were driving. You would remember, Naledi, when you look at, the scenes where these, passengers were taken out. I see they're walking out, Naledi. Let me just get the Deputy Minister there, and maybe I can just, get in a word with the Deputy Minister. Can just get in that word with Deputy Minister. Let's just move along, Naledi, and perhaps we can get that opportunity to speak to her. Deputy Minister, thank you so much. Sorry to disturb you. Deputy Minister, I've heard your engagements with the passengers. They were relaying their story in terms of what happened, feeling some of them that they were not happy with the services of the bus company. Have you been having engagements with them on a national level as well as a provincial level? Are you able to give us any insight on those engagements?
Honestly, it's the bus that is operating here locally. I wouldn't know much about the company itself. What they are saying is indicating that maybe the bus was not roadworthy. They are saying it's not the first time that something like this is happening. Definitely the investigation will look into that, the roadworthiness of the bus, because even after the accident, you are able to see the tires, whether they were proper or not. Exactly what the investigation is all about. They seem to be saying the driver of the bus was overtaking the patients. We will also get it from the investigators as to who exactly was wrong between, if there was anyone wrong, who was wrong between the other driver and, of course, the bus driver. What we now know is that there was a head-on collision. Usually with head-on collisions, somebody leaves his space and drives on the other lane, and that leads to head-on collision. Then who is wrong between the two of them, we've got to know that, but also as to what actually would even lead to that. Is it because the bus was out of control, there were no brakes and so on? We don't know about it, but we need to find out about that. From what the survivors are saying, they seem to be saying there are problems with the bus company. And I think RTMC will have to take up that case, and surely we will talk to the CEO to say he must send traffic people from national to go and check the status of other buses in this one company. But definitely it's a company that operates in the local and also in the province.
Are you also happy with the level of manpower that you find at these testing stations to test, those type of things? I mean, transport being quite a large portfolio that a lot of people rely on, especially with minibus taxis as well as buses.
We're trying to improve how our DLTCs work. Now you are able to renew your car licenses online. We're trying to do that, to modernize it. But we're not there yet. Other DLTC offices, they work well. Others, the challenges of human resources and more demands and so on. Where the services are good, people flock to that DLTC and probably will not have the adequate staff. But we are trying to modernize our DLTCs. Like I've said already, now you may not have to go to DLTC, you just download the e-natives and then it asks you questions to say what do you want to do and so on. If you want to book for renewing your license, and probably have to, you do it online. We want to move towards that so that we hope that will address and limit the issue of human interaction, and therefore the possibilities of corruptions and bribes and so on and so forth that lead to some of the accidents, honestly, if we can say. I'm saying that because yesterday I was actually telling them that I was watching a channel on 157 channel, and somebody saying it on TV that I paid for my learner license and my driving license. I've never been tested. And when these things happen, you never know as to who the driver is driving people. And when they get these licenses, they never tell us that I'm going to drive a bus, just say code whatever. Then off they have the licenses, they go and expose people's lives to such loss.
Thank you so much, Deputy Minister. Thank you. You heard then a lady that was the Deputy Minister of Transport, Ms. Cindy Siwe Chikunga, just telling us about that they will be engaging with that particular bus company, saying that, out of the engagement that she got, that a lot of these passengers saying this bus company is notorious, for, I suppose, bad drivers and non-roadworthiness, but they are going to be engaging that particular CEO of that particular bus company. But also, we're hopeful that this afternoon, when we do, Naledi meet with the families there, perhaps the bus company will also be there. Maybe we can also get an idea from them as to, what is their response to this tragic loss of lives, 21 people having lost their lives in that bus accident on Monday afternoon. A lot of them from, coming from places of employment. It was a bus that was, it had about 75 people. When you do the little bit of maths that I can do, almost a third of those people not making it home alive, on that particular day of Monday evening. Naledi?
Yeah, let's leave it there, Mahlako. Thank you so much for bringing us a very tragic story, certainly reminding us of the importance of safety on our roads.